You want to create content for, say, a keyword like digital marketing. But digital marketing may seem a little bit broad. So you want to probably stay away from broader keywords because broader keywords tend to have a lot of volume, which is great, but they may also tend to have a lot of competition. But that's the whole point of doing the keyword research. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's more volume than competition. That's what you need to find out when you do the keyword research. You need to find those keywords that are relevant to your content, that have a lot of volume and low competition. And then once we identify those keywords, then we are free to go in and start optimizing our web pages for those keywords. And the first place we want to start is the title tag. So if you remember my example, going back here to our search, how to become a digital marketing specialist, we saw that every one of these listings had that keyword in the title tag. And the title tag is important because that's what users who use Google search see first when they type in a query and get results. So they're going to see the title tag. So the title tag is the most important element for on-page SEO. It's the most important factor because that's what people see. And so ideally when we choose our keyword, we want to make sure that keyword is in the title tag because that's what shows up in Google search. And that's what makes that particular web page relevant for that keyword query. So the idea behind a title tag, it's between 50 and 60 characters. And so we want to make sure we stay within that limit, no more than 60 characters, because what happens if it's beyond that, then Google will truncate the title tag. So if I go back to my search, you can see here on this particular title tag, Google truncated it, meaning they added the ellipses after the title tag because it exceeded the 60 character limit. So you want to stay within those character counts. And so the title tag is the first place you should start when optimizing your website. Because when we have the right keyword in the title tag and somebody types in that keyword, then chances are it's going to be relevant, they're going to see it, and they're going to click through to your website. And that's the whole idea behind ranking. We want to get clicks. So that's how the title tag appears. So when you optimize it, you're going to update the title tag, and this is how it shows up. It's going to show up at the top of your listing, okay, and it's going to be bigger and bolder than anything else Google displays. So the second thing you want to optimize is the meta description. And the meta description is simply just a brief description up to 155. I would say about 155 to 160 characters, but probably no more than that. And so the meta description is nothing more than a summary of the web page itself. So if I go back to my Google search results, I see my title tag and I see the page that this particular listing belongs to. And underneath that is where I can see my meta description. So in this particular keyword query, how to become a digital marketing specialist, I see the meta description, an ultimate guide on how to build a career in digital marketing and the skills required to become a digital marketing specialist. Note that it's a well-written meta description with 155 characters, and it includes the keyword digital marketing specialist. So we're trying to rank for how to become a digital marketing specialist, and here you can see become a digital marketing specialist. So there's a lot of relevancy between not only the title tag and the keyword, but the meta description in the keyword. So when you're optimizing a keyword, you want to start with the title tag, but you also want to update the meta description. Because if you don't update the meta description and you leave the meta description blank, then you're leaving it to Google to add in copy that they deem relevant. And so for on-page SEO, we want to take control of the copy and we want to optimize it for the keywords we want to be found for. So the meta description is a powerful tool at our disposal. It gives us more characters to work with. It gives us more to talk about. So for that particular page. And so if the title tag is only 60 characters maximum, it's not a lot of information to try and get somebody to click. So the meta description helps us in identifying what that page is about in order to get the click. So the two working in tandem will hopefully increase your click-through rates. So when you're found organically, we want to get the click. And then the third element that's important is the URL. And URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. And why is the URL so important? Because that's what people see. So if I go back to my search result, how to become a digital marketing specialist, notice that the URL also includes how to become a digital marketing specialist article. Okay, so it's very relevant. The URL is very relevant. One, we can see it in the search results. But two, it's relevant to the keyword query. And that's important for the end user and Google. Google wants to know, hey, is this the page that's relevant to the user's query? And if it is, then this user's likely going to have a good user experience after they click on the listing. So the URL is an element that helps not only with the click-through rate, but with ranking. And having a poor URL structure doesn't help at all, because not only does Google not recognize the URL as being relevant, but the end user may not want to click on that page given the way the URL looks. So you want to try and avoid a poor URL structure. So the rule of thumb is this: if you don't understand what the URL is, then Google is likely not going to understand what the URL is. And so we want to try and keep our URL structures clean. And when I say clean, ideally you want to make sure that whatever keyword you're trying to optimize, that's the keyword that's included in the URL. Nothing included that is not understandable. So again, going back to our example, how to become a digital marketing specialist. It's very clean. The title tag is the keyword. The meta description is cleanly written, has the keyword. And then the URL is the other element that the end user can see, and that URL includes the keyword in it. So after we've done those three elements, the title tag, the meta description, and the URL, then we want to start optimizing the page itself. So ideally, when we say optimize the page itself, the page, remember, needs to be structured. And when we say structured, it needs to be structured in terms of, headers and subheaders, and organized in a manner in which the end user can read the article, read the content clearly and concisely without being confused. And so that's the job of headers. They add basically an organizational structure to the content. And with headers, there's a hierarchy. So you have anywhere from H1, which is the top of the hierarchy, to an H6. And so you're free to use any one of those headers when building out a page in order to organize the content. But ideally, you probably want to stick with an H1 or an H2, because those are at the top of the hierarchy. And what those do is they actually stress to Google that, hey, this header with this particular keyword in it is important. So if you use an H6 with the keyword in it, it's telling Google, hey, this is an H6, but it's not as important. So an H1 and an H2 tag show importance. And so let's look at an example of what that is. So here you can see an H1 is going to be at the top of the hierarchy, so that means it's going to be bigger and bolder. Then you have an H2, which is going to be bigger and bolder than an H3, but not as big and bold as an H2. So with headers, not only are you organizing the content accordingly, but you're also signaling to Google how important that particular header is. And of course, the header needs to include the keyword we're trying to rank for. So let's take a look again at that example. So if we go to how to become a digital marketing specialist, if I click on that page, I can look at the content and I can see that there are headers in here. So the headers are there to organize the content. And that's what we want. We want to be able to organize the content. And if you look at the other example I'm showing here, how to become a digital marketing specialist, learning paths explored, you can see that's an H1, but below it's a subheader, the growing digital marketing job market. So that's an H2. And so we're not stressing to Google that that's more important than an H1, but nonetheless, we're stressing to Google that it's important nonetheless. So we want to be able to use headers. We want to be able to use keywords in our headers in order to stress to Google what's important, and also to organize the content, because Google likes content organized. Okay, the next element we want to focus on is internal linking. And so internal linking, if you remember earlier in the presentation, is basically links from one page on your website to another. And so here we can see on this particular article, how to become a digital marketing specialist. There's also links to other pages on Simply Learn's website. And so for this particular content, it also links to SEO specialist, PPC specialist, social media marketing specialist, and digital marketing specialist. So the whole idea behind internal linking is to link from one page to another where it's relevant. And in this case, it's relevant because we're talking about how to become a digital marketing specialist. That's what the whole content is about. And so what Simply Learn's doing here is offering up other pages on their website that are relevant to becoming a digital marketing specialist. And so this is a best practice when you're optimizing a web page. So you want to be able to have internal linking on your site. And the whole idea behind internal linking is it also allows users to navigate through the site naturally. So when I say naturally, they don't always have to refer back to the top navigation. They can naturally and seamlessly go from one relevant article or page to another. And so that's the whole idea behind link building and internal link building. It allows Google to identify, pages that they want to crawl and index because they're linked to one another. But it also helps the end user because it allows the end user to go from one page to another. And it's signaling to Google, hey, this particular page is linked to this page, so we're going to also index that page. And so that's the whole important part of internal linking. It's about the end user experience, and it's about allowing Google to find the pages on your website so they can crawl them and index them so you can be ranked for them. And so also, in addition to internal linking, we want to be able to use natural language. And so what do I mean by natural language or natural language processing? So what Google does is, in terms of natural language processing, they're looking for the content and the keyword. It needs to be relevant. So when your website is about digital marketing, you don't necessarily want to rank or try to rank for the keyword digital marketing. One, it's too broad. Two, there might be some competition. But three, you're probably not going to write something as broad like digital marketing. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to choose other relevant, related keywords that's going to be more natural. And so that's what we mean by natural language processing. We want to choose keywords that are more natural to the content you're writing. So instead of the keyword digital marketing, maybe we want to talk about the types of digital marketing, or digital marketing examples, or what is a digital marketing strategy, or how to become a digital marketing specialist. So those are all relevant keywords to digital marketing and more relevant to the content. Because if you try to rank for the keyword digital marketing, again, it's probably going to be a little bit broad, probably more competition, and not as relevant to your content. And as a result, probably not a good user experience. So think about some other keywords that you could optimize and rank for. And that goes back to the keyword research. That's why the keyword research is so important, because it allows us to identify other keywords in the natural language process. What keywords are more relevant for the content? And then another element to on-page SEO is the sitemap. And so with the sitemap, it's basically a list of all the pages on your website. And the whole idea of listing all the pages on your website in one document is it helps both users and search engines understand the structure of your website. So there are two types of sitemaps. One's an HTML sitemap, and that's designed for humans. So if you have a website with a lot of content, at the footer or the bottom of your web page, you probably want to have a link to sitemap. So if somebody clicks on that sitemap, they're going to be able to see all the pages on your website, structured in an organized manner. Well, an XML sitemap, and XML is just a different format. It's designed for crawlers. And so the whole idea, remember, is Google likes to crawl content. When they crawl content, they bring it back to their servers and index it. And so we want to be able to create a sitemap for Google or other search engine crawlers. And so XML is the format. So let me show you an example of how that looks. So if I go to simplylearn.com and simply type in, say, sitemap.xml, just as an example, I'm going to get this particular page. And this particular page displays two XML sitemaps. So these sitemaps are there for Google to go ahead and crawl, and nothing more than a list of all the pages on your website. And so this is a quick and easy way for Google to get a hold of all those pages so that they can index them. And that's the whole idea behind SEO. You want to be able to have Google index all the content you want to be found for the keywords you want to be found for. So it all starts with the sitemap.